Goals! We love goals. I wasn't prolific until I'd gone to Blackburn in terms of scoring the number of goals that I did. But it was only when I went to Blackburn that I was scoring goals for fun week in, week out, and thought, I enjoy this, I like this. My coach at Southampton, Dave Merrington, I remember him saying to me when I was 16 or 17 as an apprentice, forget about working on your left foot, just make sure your right foot is as good as it can be. Make sure no one stops that right foot. Be as accurate as you can, but hit as hard as you can. And a lot of my goals were power-based. I scored a hat-trick on my debut against Arsenal. Could never have dreamt that. I wanted to score, but I never ever thought I'd go out and score 3 goals. And this is it, this is the ball. It's been in my parents' house since, sort of give it to my mum and dad as a thank you. I had it all signed, you can just make out Chris Nicholls' signatures. I think 1 or 2 were a header and 1 was a scrappy, just a scrappy goal for my hat-trick goal. I should have put the 3rd one in easily, but I got the rebound, luckily enough, and put the rebound in. But what a day! Walked away from the Dell with this ball as no longer Alan Shearer, who scored goals in the youth team or the reserves. I was now this young kid who'd scored a hat-trick and was on the back page of every newspaper. But then I couldn't buy a goal after that for the rest of the season. My debut goal for Blackburn, Crystal Palace away, scored 2. And that was the one that was sort of headed up to Mike New. He sort of chested it down back to me. I chested it down and hit it on the volley over. Off to a good start as Britain's most expensive player, so that's why I remember that one so well. I scored so many important ones. Important and best, I think, are slightly different. My best ever goal that I scored, I think, was my volley against Everton at St James's Park. It's come down from high and I'm thinking, just hit it. And I knew as soon as I connected with it that it was going in the back of the net. I looked at the goalkeeper diving, knew he had no chance. And probably, I don't know, 999 times out of 1,000 those go into the top row of the stand, not in the back of the net, but I knew I'd connected with it and that sort of went in. The record-breaking goal, Jackie Milburn. When I beat Jackie Milburn's record, he was one of my dad's heroes. So to come back and break a record that had stood for so long, the feeling that day against Portsmouth, it was one of those where hairs on the back of your neck stand up. For me to be a local lad to break that record was incredibly special. And the last one was a hugely important one because it was my last ever kick of a football, which was against Sunderland at the Stadium of Light, a penalty. And it was significant because I'd missed a penalty against Sunderland years before that at St James's Park, and I always wanted the opportunity to have another penalty, and I had to wait until that very last game. I was retiring at the end of the season anyway, but it was 5 or 6 games early this game. So we won 4-1. We got the penalty, and I just remember thinking I'd put so much practice into it just in case I'd got one in the days leading up to it. I knew exactly what I was going to do with it. I knew my spot, and that was the most pressurised I've ever felt, standing over a penalty. I've had them playing in the World Cup, in the European Championships, wherever, but that game was the most I'd felt under pressure. I couldn't miss another penalty against Sunderland. And fortunately it went in the back of the net in front of the Newcastle fans, and then 30 seconds later the ball was back in play and I got done in a tackle, and that was it. I walked off and I never ever kicked another football. So if you believe in fate, then it was meant to be. I just loved the feeling of scoring goals. I loved it as much when I was 11 as I did when I finished at 35. You get that feeling of the ball hitting the back of the net and then the roar of the crowd. And I mean, there isn't a better feeling than seeing and hearing the crowd and seeing the ball hit the back of the net, and then you run away with the arm in the air. I remember getting a bit criticised for it being a bit of a dull celebration. The more criticism I got with it was being, I just thought the more I'm going to do it, and I just sort of stuck to it. I remember changing it once at Blackburn where I sort of did a ridiculous sort of Usain Bolt thing, which I thought, what a pratty look, so I never sort of changed it again after that. I wanted to score more. If I scored one, I wanted two. If I scored two, I wanted three. If I scored three, I wanted... It never ever bothered me missing chances. It always bothered me when I didn't get any chances. That's the time to worry. And the key to it is work, is finishing, having the belief, and strong belief that something will turn. And once it does, then you know the goals will start to flow again. But it's the problem you've got is if you stop running. If you're ever frightened to miss, that's the biggest problem. Then the crowd can see that, but probably more importantly, your teammates will see that and they'll stop passing. And that was the biggest thing for me, is I always kept running. I always kept believing that I would score a goal. Immensely proud to be the Premier League top scorer, immensely proud I scored the goals at Blackburn, and to be top scorer and score 206 goals for my club that I supported as a boy. Yeah, I'm one lucky boy.
What would your advice be to kind of strikers across all levels? What if you had to say one thing to them?
Never get fed up with scoring goals. Whatever you do in your life, there isn't a better feeling.